Okay. Uh, if you don't follow me on Twitter, go follow me on Twitter at AirBear. That's AEYRBEAR. To get notified about all my latest streams. I usually go live between 2 and 3 in the morning, Central Standard Time, CST. So if you're a third shifter or an early bird, tune in with us. We'll be having several small sessions like this per week. They're kind of impromptu live sessions where I think about something that I want to talk about. Usually it stems from trying to call in to a show. Today I was listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black. It's time to fade to black. And my call kept getting dropped. So I work inside of a giant Faraday cage, essentially. So I don't get good cell reception in there, but that's okay. But I had a question. Well, it was more of a comment, I guess, really. But, so there was this UFO video that came out of Brazil a couple of days ago, and it quickly got debunked as being a helicopter or airplane or something. But I guess the whole deal was that they had contacted the original, the alleged original news source and gotten a higher quality video, and in the HQ video you can see that it was a helicopter. It's all baloney. It's all baloney. They're deep faking reality. They're pulling a real-time Mandela effect on us, or they're trying to. But I know a lot of people in this community are going to be more wise than to fall for having the wool pulling over their eyes so easily. I know when I saw the video, the original video, that thing was clearly a UFO. Clearly. And I've seen people, talk about how it was debunked, that it's just whatever. I don't believe it. I don't. I think that they're perpetrating a hoax on a national scale. And people talk often about how difficult it would be to pull off a hoax at a national scale, but really it wouldn't be. I mean, you just got a couple of upstart gentlemen together, who just want to start just a tiny cabal, and bada bing, bada boom, a couple of skull and crossbones later, you got a cabal. And that's really all it takes. It just takes one Soros. It just takes one Bezos. It just takes one Musk. And, we have all of these people. And, there's, the chances of there being a consortium of some sort just seems too high, seems too likely to me. And the fact of the matter is they're probably working hand in hand with these extraterrestrials, and that's the entire reason for this cover-up. I was born in a tiny little town in south central Kentucky, and in 1948 there was a really famous UFO crash where I think it was a P-51 Mustang crashed near my tiny little hometown in pursuit of what they say was a skyhook weather balloon. But again, I don't, that's some Project Blue Book stuff, and I don't, all of that Project Blue Book stuff just seems a little suspect to me. I don't know. I hear people talk about it, and I don't know. It just doesn't strike me as something that's going to hold up well once actual disclosure takes place. I could be wrong. I've been wrong about many things in my life, and I will continue to be wrong about things, but I don't think that I'm wrong about this. And in the vein of our discussion today, the deep faking of reality, what kind of sparked this whole thing off was a Bigfoot story. As you know, the purpose of this channel is to find Bigfoot. That's kind of our main goal. We're also here to talk about any paranormal, parapsychological, UAP, UFO, cryptid, consciousness, anything that kind of falls under that umbrella, anything that's going to be fringe research, pseudoscience, fringe science, whatever you want to call it. But there was one of these satire sites, right, a la The Onion, that started popping up. And, you know, a lot of people think of The Onion as being like a funny ha-ha type of newspaper, but I think the more I think about it, the more I think that it's a psyop, right? To get us used to the idea of fake news. Because I was never a fan of Donald Trump, but I think that he was right about the fake news. I think but I mean, I think we all knew that. I think we've all been knowing that ever since CNN. I mean, not really, it was before CNN, but CNN was kind of just when they were like, okay, look, it's all kind of whatever. You know, Ted Turner did his damage for sure, and then Rupert Murdoch kind of kicked it up, and it's just been all it's been all fake news since then. Everything's been fake news, and you know, because the Onion, you know, it was a Harvard school paper. By no means are these people just yokels from the hills with no concept of how to be deeply satirical in weird ways, specifically targeted at academia, and then later to a broader general audience. But this idea that it's a fake newspaper, and we all know it's a fake newspaper, but it's kind of touching on real subjects from here and there, and, you know, then, you know, I think it was the early to mid 2000s where there started to this phenomenon started happening where more and more people weren't able to tell if The Onion was satirical or not, because the stories were becoming indistinguishable from reality, and it became more popular thanks to the internet, and you started having these other satirical sites pop up. You know, there's the Hard Times, which is for punk news. You have Beaverton, whatever it is. You know, there's hundreds of them, and there's one specifically targeted at Kentucky residents that I can't remember the name of right now, but it had this Bigfoot report come out, and it got shared to one of the paranormal groups that I'm a part of, and so I went and I checked it out, and I was super excited. You know, maybe I could go visit there one weekend and do a live stream looking for this thing, you know. But I went to check it out and do just some basic fact checking on the article, as you would, and yeah, it pretty quickly turned out to be a hoax. It was a satire site, and so I pointed it out to the people in the group, but that kind of got me thinking about this whole satire as a pretext to infiltrate our society with fake news, because starting with The Onion and following it on through, it just seems more and more like these satirical news sources are a psyop to get us primed for deep faking reality. And like I said, with that UFO video from Brazil, it's clearly two different videos. The original versus the HQ. It's just two different videos. And they expect us to believe it, and then they have, they're slowly releasing all of this technology to us, this deep fake technology, right? They're slowly letting that leak in to our everyday lives and getting us used to the idea that, there is a very small perceptual boundary between what is holographic and what is real. I've already chosen to go down this rabbit hole. It wasn't but a couple of months ago that I was, still trying to cling on to the last threads of whatever made sense in my old worldview. But it can't withstand the absolute barrage of quackery and nonsense that is the world, and that has continued to be the world. There's just too many things that are happening. With this entire situation that the whole world has been going through, and I won't say what it is because I don't want this video to get taken down, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's the thing that shall not be named. With everything that's been going on with that, the elite in the world are still planning on getting together for an event called Cyberpolygon to simulate, or maybe it's already happened, but it's
powering off.
Cyberpolygon is a giant get-together for all these global elitists to simulate a giant cyber attack. I listen to a lot of fringe news sources, and I listen to a lot of what a lot of people would call kooks. But I'm telling you, this is what they're gonna do. They're secretly driving everybody to invest all of their money in cryptocurrency by making it seem like a better option than the traditional stock market. They're getting in with the niches and the subcultures of America and of the world. They're infiltrating each level of society, and they're making cryptocurrency seem so cool so that it drives all of your wealth online and digitizes it. And they run this Cyberpolygon event, and before you know it, the internet as you and I have it existing today is gone, wiped out. The infrastructure is destroyed irreparably. But there's the government with a solution. We have the internet 2.0. We have the new internet. And wouldn't you know it, we have all your metadata, we have all your personal information, we have all your wealth right here. It's all available to you. And all you have to do is give us everything you have. All of your personal information. They might put a microchip in you. They can do whatever they want. They'll have you literally by the scruff of your neck. Because you will have nothing. All of your data will be gone. All of your wealth will be gone. Any electronic transactions that you've maintained will be gone. massive cyber attack. Cyberpolygon 2021. It's coming. I've heard people talk about it as an event as big as anything that's ever happened. And like I said, this is all speculation. This is all allegations. But we all know what kind of world we live in. We all see the things that go around us every day. And I am less and less inclined to believe that the things that multi-billion-dollar corporations choose to show me on a camera are factually representative of what's going on in the world. If I see cell phone footage, I'm way more likely to believe that. It's the only reason I believe that what happened at the Capitol this year happened, is because I saw cell phone footage. I saw actual people, real people there. They're deep faking reality, and they're doing it a little more every day. They're drawing us all in, and they've got their sick jokes hidden in, their dark humor that they love so much. You know, it's like when CNN came out all those years ago, when it was a 24-hour news cycle, and all of a sudden all these disasters and tragedies could be broadcast around the world. And it was just a barrage of negativity. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit, because this is something else that I wanted to talk about. And I'm segueing from that negative mindset into a more positive one. But specifically, I wanted to talk about the idea of raising your vibrations. I hear a lot of people talk about that. I hear a lot of people talk about aligning their chakras or things of that nature. I've tried to ask several people about this. I've tried to call in. I tried to talk to Louis Turi about it. I don't think he understood my accent. But no one seems to really kind of understand the point that I'm trying to drive at. As a hobby, I've worked in audio production for most of my life. I've always been a music freak, and since I'm not super skilled at any particular instrument, I quickly gravitated to behind the mixing board, learned how to do my thing back there, and with that came sound design. And when you start learning about sound design, you start learning about how sounds are made, quite literally how they're made. And in sound design, you learn about a guy named Fourier. Fourier was a mathematician. He was an amazing mathematician who was able to figure out that you can represent and recreate any sound by summing together or adding together lots and lots of sine waves. Now, a sine wave is just that typical up and down wave that everybody thinks of. It represents one single frequency. If you need a reference for what a sine wave would sound like, a good approximation of it would be a flute or a whistle. Though that's not a true sine wave, it does have some extra harmonic content which brings me to my next point. When you start adding sine waves, it's not a random process. There is a mathematical way to add those sine waves together to make different sounds. The typical example that most people start off with is building a saw wave. To build a saw wave, you can actually use I'm pretty sure that Pythagoras almost got the math correct for his harmonic series. He may have got it correct, but I'm not 100% sure, and I can't look it up right now. But we figured it out a long time ago. You have your fundamental, then you double it, and then you put a fifth on top of that, and then so forth and so on, and it builds a saw wave out of the summation of sines. This is a really important concept, and it introduces a lot of things. Most importantly, it introduces the concept of the addition of the summation, or the addition and summation of sines. So what that tells me is a few things. One, if you've ever done any of those hearing tests, the very high frequencies are quite painful to the ear. Anything above 7,000, 5,000 hertz for a lot of people is going to sound kind of shrill, because that's mostly overtone area. That's content that you sprinkle in to add some harmonic texture, some harmonic content to a sound. It's not where your tone comes from. It's not where your note lives, so to speak. That comes from your fundamental. Fundamental tones are much lower. They're much more pleasing, generally speaking, to listen to on their own. If you get a very loud, low frequency, of course, that can be unpleasant as well. But generally speaking, they're easier on the human ear if it's a lower tone. 2, if you take 2 sine waves of the same frequency, let's say 40 hertz, and you stack them on top of each other, you still have a sine wave of 40 hertz, but now that sine wave is twice, or maybe not twice, but it is significantly louder. Because now the amplitude of those 2 sine waves adds together to create one larger amplitude. So that brings me back around to my original point in a very long-winded way. When people talk about raising their vibrations, I become worried that the linguistic ambiguity of how people talk about it can lead to unintentionally bad energy in their lives and potentially chaos in the universe. When you endlessly raise your vibrations, you can actually elevate yourself into a state of stress, of anxiety, of panic, of worry, of fear, because that is overwhelming everything else. Those high frequency noises aren't actually contributing to the fundamental tone of your existence. I think when people talk about raising their vibrations, it would be more accurate to say that you are tuning yourself, that you are becoming harmonically stable within the universe. A lot of people purport that the universe rings at 432 hertz. That seems a little arbitrary to me. I would be more inclined to say that perhaps the Earth rings at 43.2 hertz or 4.32 hertz or 0.432 hertz, more likely something very, very low. Larger objects tend to resonate at lower frequencies. and that is why so many people feel drawn to that frequency. Although I think that it's, again, fairly arbitrary. I would be most willing to believe that each individual has their own frequency to tune themselves to. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for this week. Thanks everybody who joined me. Thanks for everybody who's going to tune in next week. Again, don't forget to follow me on Twitter. That's at AirBear, AEYRBEAR, to get notified when I go live, and to follow me for all the latest unidentified humanoid primate, unidentified humanoid entity, UAP, UFO, cryptid, deep state news. Again, I'm Bear, and hopefully next week we'll find Bigfoot. You guys have a good day.